Greetings, YouTube. Today we're looking at the Gerber Flatiron clip folding knife. There we go. Aluminum scale. And then whoop, and this stupid little blade guard keeps falling out. It's the second time I've dropped that in the last 5 minutes. So we're going to put that aside. Oh, and there's a little pamphlet in there for if you're a big Gerber fan. So here is the knife in question in the fully closed position. And it is, in fact, a aluminum scale, and it's very smooth, and it is kind of this, I don't know, what you call that? A sagey green? It's almost a greeny gold kind of vibe there. You know, it kind of makes me think almost vaguely, very vaguely of heavily verdigreed, like bronze or something. But I like the color. I thought it was kind of cool. But because this is an all-metal knife, and the steel side is as thick as the aluminum side, it's got some heft to it. It's not a light knife. Also, it is really darn wide. This is a wide knife. This takes up a lot of pocket real estate. However, the blade is well centered. The fit and finish of the knife itself, and right now when you take it out and you play with it, it is all nice and curvy. Nothing, no burrs or anything. Nicely chamfered. Nice open construction. The offset pins are a little on the boring side, but you know, you get what you can. You get what you take, right? Can't have everything. And you're going to notice that this, again, it's a frame lock. This is the most complex and large overstop I have ever seen. So this here keeps the frame lock from being pushed too far. So you're not going to push it to the point where you're going to bend it in a bad way. And it's also got some very aggressive machining here because this is a fairly thick scale. It does give it a very aggressive look, and it matches the kind of scale here. So visually, I understand why they went with a pocket clip this shape and this width. It really does kind of fit the vibe. However, this is a strange pocket clip. It is the shortest and widest pocket clip I have in my collection, I think. It is absolutely the widest. And it was so stiff when I got it that I could not put it on a pair of jeans. I would have to shove it onto the jeans. I'm practically pushing them off my body. And then when you're pulling them on, I'm pulling them up to the point where the top of the jean is almost at the top of my boot to get this thing out of my pocket. So I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. I can't do that. So I came over here and I shoved a little pry bar under there, and I went to just tweak it a little. And this is also really damn thin. So it bent like that. And I'm like, suddenly I got a gap, and now it was too damn loose. So I had to take the two screws out and grab it with a pair of needle nose pliers, and then bend it very slightly, and then reassemble it. So now it's got enough pressure, but not too much. But just I understand visually why they did this, aesthetically why they made these choices. But I think you could have gone with the pocket clip that went in this direction, kind of gone this way. Even if it was curved, it would be kind of interesting visually. And it would have been longer and a little thinner and a little more conventional and less of a problem. I'm not really pleased with the way they designed this, that pocket clip. Okay, talked about the outside enough. Let's talk about the inside. And there we go. So, here we have the knife, and it is obviously a cleaver design. And it is obviously also a hollow grind, so it's got this really straight razor vibe going on there, you know what I mean? It definitely has a big chunky cleaver / straight razor vibe going on. It's no swedges at all, but nice finish. Got that kind of brushed vibe going on. Flat here, hollow grind to a secondary bevel, and the secondary bevel is pretty decent overall. Nice big choil. So if you like coming up this, if you want to do some closer work on something, you're going to be able to do it with complete and absolute security and a nice little slope, which I kind of like. It's a nice visual, tactile feedback on that one, rather. Nice tactile feedback on it. Now we're going to get to the not so great stuff. Okay? There are things about this knife which are cool, and I've mentioned things about this knife that aren't so cool, like this pocket clip kind of mystifies me, but I thought that was really cool. This hole is just really darn small. Deploying this thing is not easy. To get my thumb in there, it is not simple. I don't think there's enough cutout here to access that thumb hole. In addition, I saw a video online where somebody flicked the blade open from the back. Now, I am not well practiced at that. I freely admit it. I prefer flippers or thumb studs, which I am very comfortable with opening very quickly. I can pop a thumb stud as fast as anybody else can. So I'm not well versed at flicking open. It's usually done with the middle finger. But the problem is this blade is very stiff to deploy. And so you might be asking, well, why didn't you loose the pivot? Well, the pivot is so loose that I can actually move the pivot back and forth. And I lubricated it with oil. So I have done everything I can to make this knife deploy more quickly. And this particular model will not deploy. So I have seen someone do it on a video. It might have been Knife Center. Yeah, I think it might have been Knife Center video, where the guy flicked it open. And I looked at the knife that initially, and I'm like, kind of lukewarm on it. Then my wife saw it and goes, you should buy that. That really looks like something that's in your wheelhouse. And I said, yeah, you're right. So I picked one up. There also is a smaller kind of a version of this. It starts with an A. It's only 4 letters. I think it's like an Arta or something. I'm not positive. But it's kind of a smaller version of this same profile. But it's got G10 handles. A G10 scale, rather. I think I'm going to try one of those. Weirdly, it's more expensive, so it may have better quality steel. This was $30, and I think the other one, which is smaller, was like $44 when I saw it. Maybe I can shop around and find a better price. But this is way too smooth. I know it's an aluminum scale, and you should expect a metal scale to be smoother than a G10 scale, but this is just too smooth. It needs more of a tooth. It really does. Having really smooth stuff on here makes sense because you have to get that on and off a pocket. So having your frame lock side be nice and smooth, satiny, makes a lot of sense. But you should also be able to get your knife out of the pocket. So if you want to get it out, you really have to come in here and kind of hook this with your finger and pull that out, because you're not going to get much grip on this. And because of the smoothness and the awkwardness, even with a bare hand for me to open, I can't open this knife and close it comfortably, or what I consider to be safely, while wearing a pair of gloves. And so for that reason, this is a deal breaker for me. This is not a knife that I'm going to be carrying ever again. I may very well give this knife away to somebody as a gift, because there are people out there who are going to love it. Okay, other things we can talk about. The lockup is solid in all directions. You got about a 50% in there. No jimping here, but there is some jimping on the frame lock itself. Not aggressive anyway, but it is present. Particularly some people like that kind of thing. I don't think it really adds anything. If it had just been sloped, it would have deployed, it would have opened just as smoothly. I keep wanting to do this with the flipper. I carry flippers so much, it just becomes natural for me to do that. But yeah, I'm not impressed with this particular model's deployment. This is way too tight. I don't know how to get it looser without doing a complete disassembly and probably having to polish the spacers and stuff, and it just isn't worth it to me, because I'm not going to carry this thing. It's too smooth. The hole is too small for me to deploy comfortably. So yeah, I'm not really impressed with the Flatiron personally, even though I do like the look of the Flatiron. The blade is very pretty. I would prefer a flat grind, because I prefer flat grinds. I think they're a better grind for the purposes of cutting, and they also give you more metal on your knife blade, which I think is a good thing. This makes it a little thinner. People are like, oh, but this hollow grinds are better slicers. Maybe they are. I prefer, some people think they are. I seem to think flat grinds are better cutters. I think we're going to have an eternal argument on that one. But, yeah, if you like a big, chunky, kind of a straight razor, cleaver kind of vibe, maybe the Flatiron's for you. And maybe your model will have a better deployment on its pivot. I definitely did not experience that on this knife. I was disappointed with the deployment on this particular blade. So there you go. It's a big chunky knife. It's kind of heavy. Intriguing stop, which is cool. Weird clip. Holes too small. Too smooth. So for me, this is not a knife that I can really profoundly endorse. But there are folks out there who will love this thing. And if you do, tell me. And I hope that you enjoy it for years to come.